Welcome to the dumbest smart guy podcast on the planet. This is the Central Unintelligence Podcast. Oh yeah, everybody, welcome back to another fun-filled episode of fucking Josh talking about China on the Central Unintelligence Podcast.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw you under the bus like I do every episode.
Oh, I can't wait.
And just question everything that you fucking say.
You know what's funny is like you questioning everything I said actually makes me like, I don't know if this is narcissistic or crazy, but it makes me believe myself more. Like as you question me and I come up with responses, I'm like, yeah, that's a good response. I am right. Fuck Adam. He's a fucking asshole. And fuck all these people who think I'm wrong too. All right, like it just furthers my delusion. You questioning me. You'd think it would have the reverse effect, but it actually doesn't. So yeah. It's pretty funny. Anyways, today we're going to talk about some China stuff because I haven't talked about that in a minute. Also, if you could, well, I'm Josh, he's Adam, and if you could, go to YouTube where you can like, comment, and especially subscribe to Game Rage Magazine on YouTube because we're only 17 subscribers away.
Please stop saying that. Please stop saying that.
Stop saying what?
We're only 15. We're gonna.
I feel like it's helping.
No, I don't know if it is.
All right.
Because it feels like it feels like it's turning into. Oh, guys, come on, please! If you can only get us into 100 followers, we'll do a giveaway. We'll do this or that.
Well, no, I said on the other on I think it was Team Killing Glitch Tards. I said if you get us to the 17 subscribers, then we can eat this month. And then Frank was like, but we're not getting paid, and I was like, no, yeah, exactly. We're not getting paid. And he's like, well, then what do you mean? We can still eat? And I'm like, no, Frank, we're not eating until we get 17 more subscribers. We're on a fucking hunger strike. And then he was like, oh. And he's like, yeah, I quit.
He'd be the most prepared.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyways, I just was like, whatever. Okay, so go to Game Rage Magazine on YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe. You can also follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Game Rage Magazine, Twitter/X at Game Rage Mag. You can follow Adam at All Gas No Trash Official on Instagram. Additionally, if you like anime and mangas, you can follow Frank at anime_syndicate_podcast.
When you do that shit, it reminds me of fucking little Nicky with the demon that had boobs on his head.
Oh yeah, and he's playing with it. Like, yeah, I'm helicoptering my fucking what is this, like a ponytail, I guess?
Yeah.
I'm just fucking helicoptering it on my head, and yeah, you're right. It does remind. It is like that dude playing with. He has a bra. Where he wears the bra on top of his head. Yeah, that was fucking hilarious. That's a good movie. Anyways, all right. So, China. What's up with China? What have they been up to lately? Oh, just the same old bullshit that they've always been doing. Throwing fucking balloons over Taiwan now, and just being like, oh no, guys, this is just a meteorological device, and we just needed to really know what the weather was like above Taiwan right now
before we nuke it.
Yeah, like we need to make sure there's no clouds to block the sensors for the nukes that are going to be coming in.
78 degrees without a nuke.
Perfect. It's about to be 10,000 degrees in about 5 minutes. All right. No, what did you say that they were mad that? They want
Taiwan won the Premier 12
baseball fucking thing.
Yeah, baseball championship.
Did they play China?
I don't know. I don't even know if China's in it. I was just saying that to be facetious.
Oh yeah, so they're pissed. So they're like, all right, we need to fucking. Well, that's it. We're invading Taiwan now. They won the fucking.
Yeah, now it's that was the thing that kicked off World War III.
was Taiwan?
Baseball, yeah,
baseball. Taiwan baseball winning.
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, China, that's a typical, China move, is putting these balloons out or whatever. And I don't know if that's necessarily as concerning as like it should be, but we had this what?
Why do they make it so obvious, dude? Why can't they send a fucking clown, or something random? Like, what the hell's this? Why is it gotta be something that's already conspicuous to begin with?
Yeah, and we already know because we've already been like, holy shit, what are these fucking things? Like, we already figured out that they're around. Like
why not
change it up a little bit?
Why not make it a piñata of some cool Taiwanese character of a cartoon? Make a piñata, cool. But it has balloons attached to it.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, it's just one of the piñatas that we have for birthdays here. nobody would ever fucking like.
It's like a giant one.
Yeah.
They'd just be like, oh yeah, it's just fucking Ringbaru, the fucking the penguin or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like him, and it's like and it's like doing a pose, and then but it's really just all cameras.
Yeah,
and
it's all
fucking
camera.
surveillance
Yeah,
equipment.
like, why make it obvious and why make it a weather balloon if it is in fact that thing? You know?
Yeah, that doesn't see. That's a lack of fucking creativity on the Chinese part.
Yeah.
Right? Like they could probably do that.
That's assuming that they actually did that with that specific device or
either way,
that delivery mechanism.
Yeah, even if you just want to fuck with everybody, you just fucking again, everything's made in China anyways, so like they got the ability to make it. Just make one of those. Yeah, find out what the #1 fucking cartoon in Taiwan currently is for children, and then just make a giant ass fucking balloon.
Yeah,
and put all your camera equipment in there, and then send it the fuck over. Like, you know.
Yeah.
That would have been cool. Instead of us waking up to back in the Chinese spy balloon days of early 2024 or whatever that, or 2023, whatever that was. If we woke up to like, new X-Men Cyclops has a giant fucking balloon of the new X-Men flying over the West Coast. Everyone's in love, and Disney would probably be like, oh yeah, that's us. Like,
yeah, that's us. Yeah,
tune in this week as Disney Plus gets the new X-Men episodes or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, and then they'd be like, oh fuck, wait a minute, that's not us. Like, that would be smart, right? But anyways, we have this guy Admiral Paparo. He is the current Indo-PACOM top guy. He's the
what's that abbreviation stand for?
It's in Indonesia Pacific Command is what that Indo-PACOM stands for. So it's basically like all of that, like India and like that Western Pacific or Eastern Pacific. Or it's our to us. It's
so
Western Pacific.
Everything including Indonesia and east of it.
Yeah, is what that like includes in the Pacific Ocean theater.
Yeah,
that's like what he's in charge of. And so he's in charge of all naval forces throughout there. So this is seemingly a guy who should know what the fuck he was talking about.
Yeah.
And one of the things that he was saying in a press conference the other day was basically that during the summer and the fall, he says that this was the most joint exercises and most rehearsals of invasion of Taiwan, essentially, that he's seen from China. And he said this has had the widest geography, the most joint operations for air, missile, maritime power that he's seen in his entire career.
What does maritime mean? Because I've heard that numerous times and I don't actually know what it means.
Maritime just means naval. It's just naval assets. So maritime includes maritime is naval. It's like whatever air assets go along with naval. That type of stuff, but it essentially just means like waterborne assets is what like maritime is. So he said his career, he started in 1987. All right. So it was over his entire career. This is the most he's seen in 37 years that the Chinese have doing any kind of shit like this around Taiwan. And I mean, it makes sense because in my opinion, if you want to go in and do this and invade Taiwan, right, and take it over like you claim, like you want to do, reintegrate it or reunify it. There you go. That's the word they like to use. If you want to do that, well, I mean, if you're going to do it, you might as well practice for it, right? So you do all these practice blockades, you do all these practice fucking, things that you're going to essentially need to do during the actual, blockade or invasion of Taiwan. And if you've done them enough times, then your forces are going to be pretty clear and pretty well prepared for doing it in real life. Now, granted, it's a lot different in exercise than it is in, actual real world situations. So, yeah, we don't know what the response to Japan, or not Japan, we don't know what the response to China doing something like this would actually be. We don't know if Japan, the U.S., Taiwan are going to joint attack them with naval assets or air assets or whatever. We don't know what the response to that would be if China did put up a legitimate blockade around Taiwan and then invade it. So with that being said, yeah, sure, I'm sure the Chinese are practicing for it, but there is no substitute for real life experience. So they're not going to find out if they're really prepared until they actually do it. Because we don't know if we're going to attack them, or maybe we'll just be like, fuck it, we'll just let it ride. Maybe we'll just let Taiwan get taken. Who the fuck knows?
I wish I understood the historical context of, and I know some of it, that if I'm not mistaken, and you feel free to correct me here, but Taiwan, in addition to the fact that they have indigenous people there,
right?
Taiwan is comprised of the old dynasty that was pre-Mao Zedong, right? So this is the old dynasty of China that is now preoccupying Taiwan itself. But why does it fucking matter to China whether they get occupied or not? Other than the financial or economic reasons, or even technological reasons with the chip manufacturing within Taiwan itself, is it a sense of, is it like an ego thing? Is it like, that's what I want to know. If it's an ego thing that, no, they cannot exist. Like this is, we need to extinguish the old ways or the old culture, or whatever the fuck it is.
I think it's, and now again, this is just my opinion, but I think it's ego based, not in the sense of how, we need to get rid of the old ways. It's ego based in the sense of, okay, if we're going to become the new world power, we have to be completely unified. There can't be no branch off fucking half-assed Chinese over here and some Chinese over there. If we're going to take out the United States as being the number one global superpower, the United States as its contiguous whole is the United States, right? We don't have any like
a confederacy.
Yeah, we don't have like a confederacy that exists that's outside of the United States that used to be part of us, right? Like it's just us and that's it. So I think China is thinking at from an ego point of view of, oh no. If we're going to take over the world, we have to basically take back all the shit that we actually own. That's ours. And, kind of Hong Kong was the first step to that, where, yes, Hong Kong was technically independent of China. It was a protectorate and a governee of England, of the British. And that was through some fuckery that the British did, obviously. And then they did this like weird 100-year lease with China, or whatever the fuck, 200-year lease back in like the 1800s. And so that was when, I think in like 2017 or 2018, I don't remember exactly the year it was, but there was a year when Hong Kong's lease was up.
Yeah.
And that's when it went back to China, because China said, no, we're not going, because the British were able to just re-up the lease for another like 10 or 15 years. And then they could just release it. But China this time didn't re-up the lease. They said, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
And it's coming back to us. And then it came under the rule of China. And I think that was the first move of China saying, okay, if we're going to be this global power, we need to consolidate all of our countries that were our territories. And that's why Russia's invading the Ukraine and eventually trying to take what I think they will eventually try to take other portions of Eastern Europe that used to belong to the Soviet Union or Russia proper, to be like, hey, if we're going to take over the world, we have to have all of our shit back first, right? That's where we start. And then we go from there.
Yeah, I guess in the grand scheme, it kind of reads like that. But and not to say that it isn't probably true, but it's one circumstance.
Yeah, sure.
But Taiwan, because they don't even want to be addressed as Chinese Taipei. It's an insult to them. They want to be addressed as Taiwan.
Right, they're
as an independent nation. Yeah. So why the fuck does China care? Because, I mean, sure, they're Chinese people, but they also don't want to be associated with China at the same. I mean, sure, they have Chinese like pride or whatever, but they're also Taiwan. Like they're independent of China.
Yeah, well, that's true, and they also are referred to as the people or the Republic of China. They're not
the People's Republic.
ROC. That's what they call. That's what they call like in the Olympics. That's what they call Taiwan. They call them the ROC, the Republic of China. They don't call them Taiwan or whatever. It's very strange. Like because they do refer to them in that baseball thing,
Chinese Taipei,
as Chinese Taipei. But like again, why? That's because of pressure from China.
That's taking a knee to fucking China,
right? Instead of just calling them Taiwan or calling them fucking whatever. Same thing. The Olympic Committee says, okay, you know what? We'll just call them the Republic of China. How about that? ROC, because that's what they're referred to as in. I
thought they were called Chinese Taipei as well.
No, I think they actually call them ROC is Taiwan.
So then what the fuck is China called? They're called.
I think they're just called China.
I thought they were called the People's Republic.
PRC. Well, maybe that's what it is. But ROC is the Chinese version of that. I think the Republic of China is what they call them.
Yeah.
In the Olympics. And so, like, but again, it's just bending the knee to China, to the actual the People's Republic of China, bending the knee to them to say, okay, well, we're not going to piss you guys off. So whatever, Taiwan, get fucked. You're not going to be called Taiwan, like, as far as this is concerned, which is bullshit because they are their own independent country. They're independent of China. They don't get anything from China. They're not governed by China at all. So they should be considered their own thing. And it's kind of like it's like Schrodinger's country, basically. Like it's the same
country. Yeah,
it's the same thing with Palestine. Like, oh, you put Palestine in a box, and is it a country or isn't it? Or just by looking, depending on who looks at it, it's a country or it's not.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
Same thing with Taiwan. It's the same deal. We recognize Taiwan as an independent country here in the United States. Most of our Western allies do also represent Taiwan as its own independent nation, but China and their allies do not. They recognize it as a rogue nation of China.
Yeah, we also have selective hearing and selective memory. Correct. We're like, it applies to Chinese Taipei or Taiwan, but it doesn't apply to Palestine.
Yeah, no, it doesn't apply to Palestine. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It either happens on a humanity standpoint or
I agree.
Yeah, like
it should be all the way.
Yeah, if it should be across the board. If you see somebody as a country, or if a country feels as though it's a sovereign nation and it has all the requirements to be a sovereign nation, and therefore it should be a sovereign nation. But
yeah, instead we use this, like I said, it's that weird Schrodinger's country fucking thing.
Yeah,
and it just depends on who's looking at it, really, and who observes it and what. Like, it's so stupid, and also it's hypocritical on our part. I think in the United States that we can't just be like, oh yeah, Taiwan's its own deal, but nah, fuck Palestine. They don't get to be their own thing.
Yeah,
like come on, guys. Like,
all right. So when it comes to these military exercises, so obviously like international waters exist, right?
Right. Yeah.
So how much of Taiwan's border in terms of international waters, the buffer between Taiwan, the waters that they, I guess, technically occupy, and international waters?
So it's kind of different depending on the country. Most of them, it's like 12 nautical miles is the actual like definition of, okay, from your country out into the ocean, it's 12 miles and then it becomes international water. So anything within 12 miles of your country is an immediate like buffer, right? Now, Japan is a little bit different. So is kind of Taiwan, because there's an area around there that's known as the EEZ, which is the exclusive economic zone, which is essentially meaning like, okay, that country like Japan is exclusively only allowed to fish off of these areas. Now, it's not like owned by them, like other people can maybe enter and do things, but they cannot fish there or do anything that would gain them some sort of economic stimulus from it, right?
So in order to prevent overfishing for an exclusive area that's local to Japan.
Right. That's why they create these economic exclusion zones or whatever. Exclusivity zones. And it's mainly in the Pacific that this happens in a lot of these islands.
Yeah.
Now, especially where they're surrounded by other fucking islands. So like Japan, I mean, obviously the whole Asian continent is right there. So it's like, oh, we need to give them their own little space, right? So that's what they do. Taiwan kind of has like the same thing where it's like a little area around there. Now, China doesn't recognize any of that shit because they just believe it's theirs, right? So they just see this as, well, this is our country, so like we can do whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah, but I'd be curious to know how much they're encroaching on their sanctioned zone, I guess. Have they actually gotten to like the 13th mile from land to ocean? If they're doing those type of things, or it's like they're 50 miles out, but it's like even their presence, even if you could see it from 20 miles out, you're like, oh shit, that doesn't look good, No,
yeah, and that's the whole point of it. It's like they've been slowly closing the distance into how far they're going from like the things. Like if you look at the maps of where they started to like where they're doing it now, they've encroached further. I don't know how many miles it is where they're at like currently. I think they're still within Taiwan's exclusive economic zone. They have not entered into Taiwan proper waters because I think the distance Taiwan Strait, let's see, I just don't know the exact distance between Taiwan and China. Let's see, coast. God damn it! It gave me like 2,000 fucking kilometers. Okay, so the island of Taiwan is 100 miles off the coast of China. All right, so it's 100 miles. So there's a 100-mile buffer zone between the two. And basically, Taiwan has their little 12-mile fucking thing, and then I think it's like 10 or 15 other miles that goes out to this exclusive exile. Maybe it's 20. So they might be having a total of like 35-ish miles around their coasts that are like exclusive to them, right? Where nobody should be really coming in.
Yeah.
And I think China has been slowly pulling in, and now they're within that economic zone.
Yeah.
Of Taiwan for sure. They're definitely within that economic zone with doing these exercises. So. And again, Taiwan says they're not just gonna lay down. They're gonna fight these motherfuckers. So they've got like shit on high alert. They've got people ready to go. They have coastal defenses ready to go. They have anti-aircraft, anti-ship shit that they've gotten from us. And they're ready to rock. Like they're supposedly ready to defend themselves. And honestly, they're gonna need to. Like we're not gonna be able to come and save the day as quickly as I think everybody thinks that we can. Sure, we can go there to provide maybe like a deterrent, but I don't think we're going to necessarily jump straight in and be like, oh yeah, fuck it, let's start attacking Chinese naval ships. Because then that's really going to fucking be a problem. But then again, where's your line, right? And it's kind of this thing with Russia. It's kind of this thing with this. Where is our red line at? Okay, obviously invading another country with Russia, though, that wasn't a red line for us. Ukraine wasn't part of NATO. All right, well, Taiwan's not really part of, any treaties with us either in terms of that, sense where we would come in and immediately defend them. So is invading Taiwan really a line for us? I don't know. And I guess time will tell, and we'll see if that is a line, if that actually ends up happening. So, anyways. What else you got? You got anything else said?
No. I mean, other than just saying that it's weird how we keep dancing around, and I don't even know if we're ever going to actually see World War III actually exist. And I don't even like saying that word because I don't want to manifest it either by just talking about it on this podcast. But talking about it in historical context about certain circumstances that haven't happened 100 years ago or even a couple hundred years ago, how Germany invaded Poland, or how Russia is invading Ukraine, or trying to invade Ukraine, or it all starts in similar fashion, right? So it's like it's not an impossibility for that situation to occur. And you've already said it before. It's happened in one other circumstance with Hong Kong being absorbed back into China's hands, having the 200 or 300 year lease between the British Empire and also China itself. Like, it's already happened once before. It could teeter to that situation happening again in Taiwan, but only time will tell. But then again, like, we all know what's at stake if war escalates. Like, we're probably looking at mutually assured destruction.
Yeah, nowadays we are, because we didn't have nukes back in World War II when that shit was popping off.
Yeah.
And again, there are a lot of parallels between the beginnings of World War II and what's happening now. People tend to forget.
Yeah.
Right? So there are a lot of major parallels right now, and all it takes is, my opinion, obviously I've said this before, but I believe we've already entered into World War III. This is going to be looked back in the history books as basically the Russian invasion of Ukraine will be like the beginning of it, whereas Hitler's invasion of fucking Poland was like the first fucking, in 1939 or whatever. That was like the first fucking deal, like the first move of World War II. That's when it really started. And everybody was like, oh, okay, all right, guys, let's just chill. Let's just let them have it. I don't know what's going to happen with Ukraine, but like, if they say, oh, okay, let's just chill, let's let them have it. And then, oh, maybe they invade another non-NATO country. And then it's like, oh, okay, let's chill, let's let them have it. It's the same thing we did. It's the same thing we did to Hitler. It's like if we give Taiwan to China. All right, let's just let them have it. Well, then eventually they're going to invade a country that's got a treaty with us to defend. And that's when the World War III kicks off. And basically, I was reading this thing that was very interesting about what we're doing to Ukraine is essentially how we initially supported the British during World War II before we were attacked.
It is exactly like it.
It's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And how essentially we are indebting Ukraine to us for trillions of dollars for basically the next 100 years. And that's what's basically Europe paid, or the British just paid off their debt to us from World War II in like 2018 or 2019.
Only recently?
Yeah, just recently. Like,
So what is it like? It's just an absurd interest on the whatever the debt is.
Yeah, and then it just continually, because again, they're gonna have to be rebuilt. So what's gonna, because that country is basically, Ukraine's destroyed, right?
Yes.
So you're gonna have to rebuild. So all these American companies are gonna be going in there.
Yes.
Rebuilding it, but who's gonna pay for it? Our government is, and then they're gonna say, okay, Ukraine, now you just owe us this money. It just gets tacked onto your lease. So then in 100 years...
That's assuming there's stability, like in...
Well, that's assuming that they don't take it over, right? That's kind of where, at the end of World War II, we benefited, was because, okay, cool, we won the war. So, like, yes, the British needed to rebuild, and they owed us all this money from the support we gave them, along with the rest of Europe at the beginning of World War II when we weren't involved.
Yeah.
When we weren't physically involved. So now you got to... And that's the whole reason why we ended up entering into World War II, not because we were attacked in Pearl Harbor, was because it was starting to be like, oh shit, we need to protect our investment, because if we don't come in and save the British, if Germany takes over England, we're never going to get paid back for all this fucking shit we gave. So
we also might die.
Yeah, we also might die. Yeah, it's true. But that's where, like, here America's in no danger of being invaded by any foreign country. We're too far apart, and people don't have the logistics. Russia can't even invade the country next door without running out of gas, right? There's no way they're going to invade the United States, okay? It's just fucking impossible. So...
Assuming we have the strongest Air Force...
Without even that, even if we didn't, Russia doesn't have the logistical capability to fucking invade the United States. They would fuck off. We have too many guns here, and it just wouldn't work. But anyways, the point being is that if we have given all this shit to Ukraine, and we are counting on them being able to pay us back... If it gets to a point where we think they're going to lose, that's when we will physically enter the combat and the battle. We'll physically enter the war.
That's a lot of ducks to get in a row too, because then you think about, and I hope European nations have also taken this as notice that, perhaps we should also step up our fucking game in terms of military population, I guess you could say. That they can't be taking chances and just expecting the U.S. to project themselves everywhere in the world. Like maybe we should do our part too. And that's not really. I'm not trying to like insult other countries, armed forces or anything like that.
Yeah,
but
it's just common sense.
Yeah,
you guys should be able to defend yourselves at the very least. We're not asking that you be able to send people, I guess, or be able to invade other countries, but we're asking that you should minimally be able to just defend yourself against a large invasion force, right?
Like, because it's like them telegraphing, or rather, it's like Russia telegraphing to the Ukraine and, every other European country that's bordering Ukraine. That is the signal. I mean, that shouldn't have been the signal. The signal should have been 3 years ago when they were doing military exercises to step up maybe their numbers or whatever. Yeah.
Really, it should have been in 2014 when the Russians took Crimea the first time.
Yeah.
That really should have been... You cocksuckers had 8 years to fucking figure it out, Ukraine. Why? And this is where I say, again, because we're just doing this from a strictly financial benefit perspective. That's why we're helping them, because we believe we're gonna make a shit ton of money back. But
plus some.
We're not helping them because oh yeah, we're just good guys. No, it's because we're greedy. Because if we were just good guys, we would have been like, yo, why the fuck didn't you guys get prepared when Russia took Crimea in 2014? You guys had 8 years before they invaded your country proper.
And that's nearly 100 years prior. And this is, I think, a decade or before World War I. There was the Crimean War that was basically Russia against European nations for the exact same fucking territory.
Right, yeah, exactly.
For the exact same scenario.
No one wants to learn from history. Therefore, we're doomed to repeat it. That's just what keeps happening.
Yeah.
But anyways, all right. I think that's pretty much sums it up. So anyways, thanks for listening. If you want, go to Game Rage Magazine on YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe. You can also follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Game Rage Magazine, Twitter /X Game Rage Mag. You can follow Adam at All Gas, No Trash Official. You can follow Frank at Anime_Syndicate_podcast. All right, that does it for us. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Was the latest episode of the Central Unintelligence Podcast. Don't forget, subscribe and like on Instagram and TikTok at Game Rage Magazine. We're
We're also on Twitter/X at GameRageMag. Also our website, www.GameRageMagazine.com.